All right, so welcome everybody. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Right. My wife is always super excited when I throw in an extra class that pulls time away from anyway. So it's what I do. Anyway, so this training is going to be kind of like a half whiteboard Wednesday, half a little bit of demonstration. Most of you guys already have experience in what we're doing. So what I want to do is dive in a little bit deeper. At the end of this, I will be rolling out this other program that we're doing. If you're interested, great. If not, no harm, no foul. But this is being pulled from our Module 2 curriculum, which focuses on it goes past the fundamentals where a student's able to handle 95 to 98% of the assaults that happen every day. And so those things are easily handled by what we consider to be basics. Okay. So in the next step, and well, the next three steps, but in the next step, we start focusing on particular dynamics, right? Fight dynamics and response dynamics. And so in Module 2, we really start looking at this idea where we're in an overwhelm kind of situation, okay? He's either faster, he's bigger, he is stronger, whatever kind of advantage he has. So we have to have more than moves, okay? So what we're looking at here is having a tactical advantage. I call Module 2 Realm of the Warrior Tactician, right? So while there's lots of techniques to be learned and skill sets and whatnot, we're really focusing on it from the perspective of how do I neutralize this advantage that this person has? And so it makes it easier to put the technique on. Okay, so that's where I want to start. I know that the main promise was to focus on these four principles or four pillars, right? So I'll just jot this stuff up here so I don't forget, right? So four pillars, right, of the tactician, right? And there are these three aspects of training. You may not be able to read this, but I can. I'll write bigger for everybody else. Three aspects of training. Okay, and then there were some other things that I'll make sure that I cover as well. But these are the two big things. So since I've been talking about tactics and tactical and tactician, that's where I'm going to start, right? I want to break the training down or break things down into three primary aspects. Okay, so there's three words that I define. Okay, one is techniques. Is that big enough that everybody can read? Can you see that? Okay, cool. Right, techniques. The second one is tactics, and the third one is strategies. If you've been following my Whiteboard Wednesday, you probably have a heads up on these things. But what I have found over my almost 45 years of training just in this martial art, because in all honesty, in all the other things that I did, while there were things being taught, I just had a student, who was it, Christy, yesterday's class? She had taken a bunch of other stuff as well. And I asked her how they covered certain things. And she said, I took that stuff, but nobody ever went into it to the depth or degree that you do, which is fine. I have a tendency to ruin students. But it's been my experience over the years that these words kind of get thrown around. People don't know what techniques are, but tactics and strategies get thrown into kind of the same category, right? It's almost like somebody has a ninja thesaurus, and they look up one of these and they're going to find the other ones as synonyms, right? If you don't know what a synonym is, never mind. Right? It's not cinnamon. Okay, Dave. No, all right. Just make sure we're clear. All right. So anyway, what I want to do is define these, because the training in each from each perspective is going to look different, even if what we're doing looks the same to an outsider. What we're focusing on is different. And then this also matches the Shuhari model, this traditional kind of way of progressing through things, And we could also look at it as a, I think in Jared, you went through the Mod 1, the Foundations course. We gave you that that worksheet that has the skill progression, right? So on basics, it focuses on mechanics. Level 2 is intermediate, focuses on dynamics. Level 3, everybody says advanced, but it focuses on intent and staging, right? And then this idea of situational control. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's actually where I put kata. But so there are a lot of these things that will end up in the resource center for every course or every program, because we want to make sure that people have them. Okay. But it works the same way, right? At one level, we're focusing on mechanics and the how-to, right? Next level, we're focusing on, well, let's do this. Okay. So, and this is something I can't take credit for just getting all, out altogether. I've had some pretty friggin' bang up instructors and whatnot that weren't just highly ranked in this art. Like me, they have a lot of street combat experience, not just as the guy who got into high school fights or whatever, but I mean, like as a cop or a protector or whatever. So there's a control factor to it. There's liability conscious and concern factors to things. There's, a use of force, right? Or an escalation of the need for certain things, right? So anyway, techniques, right, are defined as what we do with our body and our body parts to him and his body parts. Okay. They're the what. Okay. They're the what. Right. So I'm not going to write out that long string. Okay. It's what we do with our body and our body parts to his body and his body parts. Okay. I'm going to make some pretty, well, I make bold statements all the time anyway, and I probably piss a bunch of people off because I can watch my numbers go up on my podcast and Whiteboard Wednesday, and I can watch them go back down as soon as I say something that somebody doesn't want to hear, right? So, but any monkey can learn the moves. Any monkey can learn the moves. Any monkey in a controlled environment can do the moves, right? But therein becomes this problem, right? So techniques are the things that 95% of people gravitate to because they're easy, right? I mean, there's an easily defined right and wrong. It gets a cool Japanese or Chinese or Korean name to it. It's all good, right? We've all been there, okay? Tactics, right? I'm going to come back to tactics, right? I'm going to jump over tactics for a minute. Strategies are the end game. It's the result we're looking for, right? For most people, when they first get started, the strategy is, I may not win, but I can't lose, right? If I can talk this guy out of it, we both go home safely, bonus, right? It could just be to win, right? It could be to survive, but those are big and vague. And as I was covering in Whiteboard Wednesday today, that will take people up in my curriculum. It'll take them up to Nidon. Because it doesn't matter how I got out, right? My 4-year-old grandson doesn't give a flying anything as to how I won something. All he cares is that grandpa's there at the end of the day, reading him a story before he goes to sleep. That's all he cares about, right? Okay. But in the upper levels, and for some of us that have specific needs, like when I was an active law enforcement officer, did bodyguard work, whatever, the strategy was to either keep people apart, put my body between one person and 3 other ones. It could be to get them down, face down on the ground as quickly as possible so that I can get them into cuffs, whatever. Okay. It could be to get them into a search position against the wall. Now, as a civilian, right, if they break into my house, it could be to get them to the first entry exit point that I can get them out. Okay. Because I may not want to have them there. So the thing with strategies is that it's the hardest thing for people to get their head wrapped around because there's so much stuff going on. So they have to almost have a dual mentality going on. But strategies determine techniques, because if I want them face down on their chest so I can get them into handcuffs, flex cuffs, whatever, a knee in their back, okay? And I need to do that as quickly and easily as possible. Then I need to pick and choose my skills and my techniques that by default move them in that direction. Does that make sense? Okay. Because anything I do that moves them away from that prolongs the fight, risks me and other people, and makes things more problematic. Okay. And the rule of survival, because the only reason why you see me using words like self-defense and the common words that everybody else uses online is because there's this thing called search engine optimization, right? I have to use the same terms and words that people type in when they're looking for information online, so Google can match it up and show my stuff to people that are looking for that stuff. If I use the terms that I would normally be using, I'm either going to have the wrong people looking at it, or nobody's going to be looking at it because nothing matches. Okay. So that's a strategy. Using terminology and vocabulary to get my stuff in front of the right people that are looking for that stuff. That's a strategy. Okay. So if I choose skills and techniques that move them in the wrong direction, I have a problem. Okay. Because things get elongated, right? So strategies are the why. Okay, it's the why, right? Why am I picking any given skill or technique? Okay, I need to have a broader perspective of things, more than just I need to win. Okay, so let's bring it back to tactics. Okay, because tactics are the bridge. They're the bridge between techniques and choosing techniques and getting to strategies. Okay, and fulfilling the strategy. But tactics are really tricky things. Okay, you think these are invisible? Tactics they're like the key to upper level stuff. Okay, tactics, we define tactics as things that we do upon entering or just prior to engagement that make techniques easier to apply. So tactics are the how, right? What we're going to do, right? Kamae are techniques. How do I position myself, that kind of thing. But what I really want you to see, it's only a technique so far as you're learning how to move into it or evade with it or whatever, okay? But kamae are a really cool thing because the kamae that you choose opens or closes certain windows, creates windows of opportunity, and closes off other ones. So not only does it control him, okay, let's jump to the upper levels here again, because for my guys going for third dan, they're not just picking these things that produce this. The other half of producing this, the invisible stuff, is that if I can get him to attack me in a way, let's say I'm going to use, I know that if I'm going to put this guy down on his chest, I need things that use Uragyaku principle, right? That move him this way, okay? I don't want to drop him on his back and then have to worry about flipping him over or whatever, okay? We have things for that, but it just makes it a little bit more messy. So I know I need to apply something like an arm bar, muso dori, something like that, right? So I don't need this guy kicking me. I don't need him coming in with a bull rush two-hand kind of thing, right? So what kamae can I do based on which side he has leading and where I need him to go? What kamae can I take up that will invite him to punch with that arm on this side? And what range and what angle, so that when he misses, that arm bar is easy to take him over here. Does this make sense? Okay. Takes a little bit more understanding how the techniques work and whatever. Okay. I said one of my guys, he's going to be testing for Sandan here pretty soon. He just sent me a message today, and test is like 3 weeks away. So a little late for the question. However, every time he tries to set something up, his partner won't take it. And his partner keeps saying, I'm not going to take that because it looks obvious. Right. And he said, is it possible to make that work without it looking too good to be true? Because my partner keeps saying it looks too good to be true, so they're not going to take the shot. And I said, yes. You need to combine the idea of too good to be true with it looks like you had an accident. You don't go, right? You need to be able to, if he's over here and I'm over here, and there's this bubble, this kukan kind of thing where he can't reach beyond that. Okay. As we're moving around and shifting, I need to let that target move in front of the fist or the hand or the whatever I'm inviting in. That all that has to line up as I hit that line. Okay. And here's the thing. What my guy doesn't understand is he's trying to make it all happen like first time out. Like, techniques show this perfect little thing, right? So he punches, you do XYZ, fight's over. If I'm trusting that most of you guys have been in a fight, so you know that that's not the way it works, right? Okay. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to move to that point and I'm going to give it about a 1/1 second or 1/1000, kind of give it about a second. And then I'm going to drift right back out of there. Because what will make him more imperative is him missing an opportunity or two. Next time that opportunity presents itself, he's going to go before he's ready to go. Okay. So there's ways to make him weaker. There's ways to whatever. Okay. So the tactic is what we do, how we enter. In Takagi Yoshiryu, the entering is always at a 45-degree angle. It's never face on. I know people learn their kata face on, but Takagi Yoshiryu is entering this way because of the way weapons are worn. It's all kinds of things, right? So I'm going to position that way. In Koto school, this idea of kudai dori, right? Kind of like the kukan, but it gauges distance between not just me to this, generally from here to here, from here to here, right? There's this space and this feel right here. It's the same thing between our bodies. Okay. So let me borrow James here for a minute because I want to show this quickly, please. Okay. I think we did something like this I don't know if we did it a Whiteboard Wednesday or a class or whatever. Okay. So we're going to try to position so that you can see that we're square on this way. Okay. So if you take up a fight position, right, there you go. And so he's looking to grab or whatever. Okay. If I'm in a fending position this way, okay, James is probably not going to try to grab my wrist. The alignment's off. What you guys can't see from that direction is like, we've got this kind of alignment. He would have to come around that to get it. So even if you guys went through the foundations course, you just have a beginner's program or whatever, and we're working off a mirror side wrist grab, right? In the beginning, when we're learning it, all bets are off. We don't even talk about this stuff because all that matters is that he grabs me with a mirror side wrist grab so I can learn mechanically how to break that grip, move away, right? We're not in upper level stuff, okay? But from here, right? See, he just lifted his hands. Bring your hand back down. There you go, okay? So from right here, there's going to be no grab. And if there is a grab, see, if he does something that I know is difficult for him to do, but he does it anyway, that helps me gauge his fight prowess, okay? And his attention to detail. But if I drop my hand right here, he can come in and he's going to grab thumb up on this hand because of the alignment. It's easy, right? He's hot. He wants to get me. He's going to be an opportunist, right? But if I do this, right, he's now going to grab like a motorcycle or a bicycle handle, right? His thumb's in a different position because it's easy, right? So this takes more exploring than just XYZ, right? When do we do omote onikudaki? When do we do ura onikudaki, right? What's the most natural way? When when are we doing the one of the 4 different versions of Ganseki as a minimum, right? Based on where things are. Now, that's choosing techniques and understanding how the techniques work. But tactics, how do I enter to catch a Ganseki? If I go from a lapel grab, like the basic models, and I break that grip and I move in, have you ever tried to startle somebody or rush in to grab like a Ganseki and they drift away from you because you're moving in? Okay, here's a cool way to do this. We'll do it from here so people can see it, I think, right? From right here, when I break this grip, as I enter with this arm, he's just going to close that off because he can feel it. I'm brushing against proprioceptors that affect the brain, right? And he's going to close that off because it doesn't matter to his primitive brain whether I'm trying to grab his arm or I might be going for his rib cage or whatever. He's going to close that off. But if while I'm moving in, I press on his other arm, that arm just locked up because everything went to protecting this over here. So by the time he realizes that I'm not going for that arm, it's too late. And this is not an intellectual thing. This is, so the tactic is this thing that makes the application of the technique easier. Okay. So anybody have any questions on techniques, tactics, or strategies? Techniques are the what you do with your body or your body parts to his body or body parts. Tactics are how you set yourself up, the angle you come in on, the timing you use. There's a whole broad spectrum of things, right, that make execution of the technique easier. Strategies are the end game. Strategies choose or determine techniques and tactics. This is the end game. If the end game is just to win, well, then most people don't even think of this because all the winning is the assumption. Okay. But if I'm moving into realms that have to do with controlling his options, controlling him where he goes. Okay. I made a comment today during Whiteboard Wednesday that if I move somebody in the wrong direction or I deliver a strike at the wrong angle or whatever, I'm out in public. But if I got my 4-year-old grandson in tow, right, and I drop this guy on him and cripple my grandson, fantastic. I won the fight. However, did I really? Right? So there's a whole bunch more to this. So this next step program really starts to introduce students to the why, right? So